Money and faith, two forces that have shaped civilization since the dawn of time. But what most people don't realize is that temples were actually the world's first banks, complete with loans, deposits, and even ancient credit systems.
Well, that's fascinating. So, religious institutions weren't just spiritual centers, they were financial powerhouses too.
Exactly right. Take ancient Egypt, for example. The temples of Karnak controlled nearly a third of all Egypt's wealth at their peak. They had sophisticated accounting systems, grain storage, and even issued their own form of credit notes.
So, how did they maintain people's trust with all that wealth and power?
You know what's interesting? The religious aspect actually helped create accountability. The priests believed they were answering not just to Pharaoh, but to the gods themselves. And speaking of accountability, let me tell you about something remarkable in Islamic finance.
Oh, right. You're talking about zakat, aren't you? The mandatory giving system.
That's exactly it, but it goes way deeper than most people realize. Zakat wasn't just charity. It was the world's first systematic wealth redistribution program. 2.5% of all wealth given annually to help those in need.
Well, that must have had some major economic impacts on those societies.
The impacts were huge. Studies suggest that in medieval Islamic societies, zakat helped maintain a basic social safety net and prevented extreme poverty. And here's what's fascinating. We're seeing similar principles pop up in modern universal basic income experiments.
So, these ancient religious practices might actually hold solutions for modern economic challenges?
You know, that's precisely what some economists are studying. But let's look at another fascinating example, the Buddhist concept of dana, or giving. Monasteries in ancient Sri Lanka actually operated like modern-day credit unions.
So, these religious institutions were basically inventing modern financial systems thousands of years ago?
Well, that's just scratching the surface. In medieval Europe, the Knights Templar created what historians consider the first international banking network. You could deposit money in London and withdraw it in Jerusalem using a coded letter of credit.
That's incredible. Like a medieval version of international wire transfers.
And speaking of medieval finance, let's talk about something that might surprise you. The Jewish tradition of tzedakah wasn't just about giving money. It actually established 8 levels of charitable giving, from least to most righteous.
Oh, interesting. What were those levels based on?
The highest form was helping someone become self-sufficient, like giving them a job or helping them start a business. It's remarkably similar to modern microfinance principles. And get this, they had interest-free loan societies called gemaks that still exist today.
You know, it's striking how many modern financial concepts seem to have religious origins.
Absolutely fascinating, right? Even the concept of ethical investing has roots in religious practices. The Quakers refused to invest in slavery and weapons in the 1700s, essentially creating the first socially responsible investment screens.
Well, that certainly challenges the notion that mixing money and religion is always problematic.
Though there were definitely dark sides too. Let's talk about the sale of indulgences in medieval Europe, essentially selling forgiveness for sins. It became such a corrupt practice that it helped spark the Protestant Reformation.
So these systems could be used for both good and bad.
Precisely. And that tension between money's potential for good and its potential for corruption is something we're still wrestling with today. Look at modern debates about prosperity gospel or religious fundraising practices.
Speaking of modern practices, how do these ancient principles translate to today's digital age?
Well, here's something fascinating. Some Islamic fintech companies are creating zakat calculation apps that automatically determine your required giving based on your digital assets, including cryptocurrencies.
It's such an interesting blend of ancient principles and modern technology.
And it's not just Islam. Buddhist temples in Asia are accepting digital payments for offerings. Christian churches are using mobile giving platforms. And Jewish tzedakah boxes now have digital equivalents.
So these traditions are evolving rather than disappearing.
Exactly right. And here's what I find most compelling. These religious financial systems were often ahead of their time in terms of social responsibility and ethical finance.
You mean like the interest-free loans and wealth redistribution?
Yes, and so much more. Many of these systems had built-in protections against exploitation, requirements for transparency, and emphasis on community benefit. Things we're now trying to build into modern ESG investing.
Well, that certainly gives a different perspective on religious financial practices.
And here's something to think about as we wrap up. Maybe instead of seeing money and faith as opposing forces, we should look at how they've worked together to create social good. The history shows us it's possible.
That's really given me a lot to think about.
Well, until next time, remember, some of our most innovative financial solutions might actually be thousands of years old. We just need to understand their principles and adapt them for today's world.